There is a cardinal mistake that people involved in a job search can make all too easily. And in this short video, I'd like to explain what that mistake is, why it's so costly to make that mistake, and then offer some ideas about how you might avoid making that mistake, no matter how alluring the temptation is. Hello, my name is Stephen Wright. I'm a career coach here at Career Mentor, and we help high-performing financial services professionals make their next smart move. So here's a quick story. I helped a person who I met in a social setting. She asked me some top tips on interview technique. I was happy to do that, and I listened to her about what the situation was, and I gave her some ideas which I hope might be quite useful. I also agreed to meet with her for a cup of coffee about a week later to debrief what had happened in the interview. And I'm really glad I did, because I learned a huge lesson. She told me in that debrief that she had tried very hard to present the case that she was indeed the right candidate, even though it was apparent to her that she wasn't, and apparent to the interviewer that she wasn't the right person. And I asked her, why did you do that? And her answer was really instructive. She said, because I wanted to be successful. To her, the idea of being successful, being invited back for second and third interviews, being eventually offered a job, was all about being successful, and she wanted that even though she knew it wasn't the right thing. And I thought that reminded me of a situation that I'd been in, where I got myself into job interviews with a particular firm, and I decided that I wanted to be successful. So much so that I switched off all my critical thinking faculties. I stopped even asking difficult questions, and I certainly ignored the massive red flags that told me that this was completely the wrong firm, the wrong job, and certainly the wrong people. And so with those two examples in mind, I'd like to offer you some ideas about what the cost of all this is and how you can avoid making this mistake. The first is that by putting being successful in front of actually doing the right thing, it's incredibly costly, because you waste a lot of career time in the firm that you could otherwise have avoided. Furthermore, if you find yourself in the wrong job in the wrong firm, it can be quite damaging in terms of your morale and self-confidence. Also, that particular period of time may mean that you have a blight on your CV, and you have to keep on explaining why you joined that firm in the first place and why you were there for such a short amount of time to all the future interviewers that you're going to meet. So it is a costly thing to do, to put success in front of common sense and getting the right job. The second way in which you can therefore avoid making this mistake is to become really clear about what it is that you want at the outset of your job search. Be clear about the sort of people you want to work with, the culture that you want to be in, the role that you want to have, and the type of organization with the right kind of leadership. And furthermore, you want to be clear about exactly what it is that you want to do and the resources in terms of people and time and so on that you're going to need in order to get that job done. So become very clear about what it is that you want. The third thing is that you want to be clear about the red flags, the warning flags that you need to look out for, so that you can be super vigilant during your job search. An example of a red flag might be, for example, when you're asking questions or you're trying to gain commitment in terms of the resources that you need, and people are very loose and flannelly and waffly in their answers, and they avoid the actual issue that you want to discuss. There are any number of red flags, so thinking about the red flags that are going to tell you that this is the wrong thing is important, and get those down on paper before you even start your job search. The next point, number 4, is to do everything that you can to really understand what's going on inside that firm. Do your due diligence. Now, this is quite tricky, because as you're being recruited, everything can seem very shiny and lovely, and everybody's going to be on best behavior because they want to bring you into the firm. However, you can do due diligence by talking to people who until recently worked in that organization. You can understand why the job that you're being recruited for has come up. You can read widely around the subject online, or around the firm online, and do everything that you can to gather all the data that you can to really understand what's going on behind the scenes. The final thing is number 5, perhaps the biggest thing, is to not put the idea of being successful at the wrong thing in front of trying to find the right job for you. This means that you have to remain open-minded to the possibility that you're the one that calls a halt to the interview process if you're getting so much feedback that says this does not match my criteria. Now, this can be really tricky, and so if you find it difficult to see the wood from the trees, especially when the firm is all being great to you, then it might be an idea to get the advice of somebody whose judgment you trust and you know will be honest with you, and to give you a reality check, especially when a firm decides to turn on the charm, to love bomb you, and to validate you in the way in which is quite appealing. So make sure that you remain brutally honest with yourself, get some advice if you can, and make sure that you're involved in that job search for what you want to get out of it, the right thing for you. Being successful at the wrong thing is indeed the wrong thing. So with that in mind, I hope you find that really useful. I'll be putting the blog that I wrote about this in the comments below. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, please do click like, and if you feel this might be useful for other folks, then please do share it. If you are watching this on our YouTube channel, then welcome to our channel. Please do hit subscribe and like. That works really well for our algorithms. And if you are about to embark on a job search, or that's what you're doing now, please feel free to reach out. All my contact details are at the top of my LinkedIn profile, and we can just have a chat about where you're at, and hopefully I may be able to help you along the path. Thanks very much.